Hello everyone, my name is Carl, and today I will be reviewing Mega Man Legacy Collection and Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. These games were published by Capcom and developed by Capcom for the Switch on May 22nd, 2018. The first one, if you buy it by itself, goes for $15. The second one goes for $20, and it's rated E10 plus 4, cartoon violence. I don't remember how much it was for both together. I don't even know if they're still selling both as a package anymore. The first one you can get physical or digital. The second one is really only digital. Even in this, even though it has both of them, the first one is on the card, and literally the second one was just a download code, so I could download the second game. So you need the memory space. Anyway, the first one contains Mega Man's 1 through 6, and the second one contains Mega Man 7 through 10, which was all the same, all the main series games up to that point. They have since come out with Mega Man 11, which is its own standalone game. So if you don't know what Mega Man itself is, it's about an android that has to thwart the evil plots of Dr. Wily and Dr. Wily's own robots. The original came out in 1987, and they've been on and off coming out with them ever since. So it's a classic series. So if you're into classic games, definitely listen on. I've always been a fan of Mega Man. I grew up playing the games. They were way too hard for me when I was young, but I loved watching my brother and my dad play them nonetheless. So yeah, I wanted to grab this game, even though I already had the first collection for the 3DS. Um, I mentioned this before, but this is a collection of a bunch of older games. So I'm gonna focus less on like how the games play and how I like the games, and more on how they have been brought to the Switch and whether or not I think this is a good port. You should pick up. So I will be giving a little bit. If you have no idea what Mega Man is, you can feel free to keep watching. But this is also for people who are maybe nostalgic for, familiar with Mega Man, that are wondering if this is something to pick up. Um, Also, I realized I didn't get much through Mega Man 9 or 10, so forgive me if there's something egregious in the middle of 9 or 10, I might miss it, but I hope you'll bear with me. So the gameplay, if you're unaware of Mega Man games, it's a run and gun. You jump, you shoot the robots, 2D platforming. Later games, you can charge your shots or you can slide, and that's incorporated into boss fights and stuff. You got to slide under enemies' attacks. Each game, with the exception of the first one, has 8 robot masters, 8 bosses that you have to beat. You can do them in any order. It shows all 8 on screen, and you just pick one, you go into their stage, and go for it. Each level has its own platforming and enemy fighting challenges. There's a boss at the end. You beat that boss, that robot master, and you get to use their weapon. And while your main weapon, the Mega Buster, has unlimited shots, unlimited charges, the vast majority of other Robot Masters' weapons have an energy bar that can be used up and refilled. The other gimmick is every Robot Master's weapon is super effective against another Robot Master's weapon. So, while it's hard getting the first one, once you get the first one, if you know who it's super effective against, you can kind of go in a loop, um, picking your next fight based off of the super effective weapon. What's super effective against them based on whatever weapon you just got. It's a very basic formula. I mean, they churned 6 of these games out for the NES alone. It's kind of like Tetris, where oh, let's just make another Mega Man. Let's make another Tetris game. It's a good basic formula, especially for early video games. All 10 of these games are like this, with very minor exceptions. Um, and it is kind of interesting to see when you play this game the progression of like 1987 is like before they really, NES era, that's before they really figured out what made video games fun. Um, when you made a video game for an arcade, your job was to make money. But then they realized that, wait a minute, they don't want to kill you every 10 seconds, so you pay another quarter, because that's not as fun. So there's a really big difficult spike in the first few games, especially near the end of the game, as you get bosses like just unfair, hard things that they throw at you. So it's nice to see as they go along, they become a bit more reasonable, you know? But generally, like, if you play the game a lot of the like the life of the game is just figuring out what's to prevent against what. Like once you know who's the easiest boss to start with and where to go from there, it gets pretty darn easy to beat the game from then on out. Story wise, in these games, the story, honestly, it's so bare bones in all of these. I don't really care about it at all. There's just it's an excuse to shoot robots. Like all I want is an excuse to shoot robots. I don't really care about who's gotten kidnapped or Robot City, blah 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 blah. I more remember overarching stuff like Mega Man and the anti-hero Proto Man's relationship. Each individual game has a story that you forget it's happening. I don't care. I'm sorry. I just want to complete levels. I want to shoot robots. I want to fight bosses. Sorry. But the extra content here, cool thing though, is they have a bunch of artwork and stuff included in there. They included a rewind feature so that if you fall off the edge or whatever, you can just hold the R button or whatever and then just kind of rewind Mega Man. That definitely makes the earlier games especially more palatable because there's really unfair things in that game where things just like jump out and kill you, and then you're just like, well, crud, so then you can just rewind. It also has a challenge mode, which I did not play, where it has remix stages and then there are online leaderboards and all that. If you're a fan of that thing. Anyway, on to the graphics and art style. 1 through 6, and then they went back for 9 and 10 as well, are all pixelated. Um, they're all 8-bit pixelated, which to me, I mean, they look fine. Of course, keeping in mind that they're 8-bit pixelated, like there's only so much you can do with a limited space like that. They look really good to me. I like how they fixed up the looks here. I have no complaints. 7 and 8 are 16-bit. They're fine as well. I don't really care. But on to music. While I may not be much of a music guy, I say that like pretty much every review. I really like Mega Man music. It might just be nostalgia, but especially the first like 6 games, first 3 really. I have a lot of nostalgia for the sounds themselves. They're what I like to call foreground music. Usually in games you have background music where the music's just kind of playing in the background and you kind of listen. You hear it and it's nice, but the gameplay is centered. But in this game, like it's almost like they put the music on top of the game instead of behind it, if that makes sense. It really jumps out to me and it's really memorable. I don't know if other people have the same feeling about that, but yeah, I'm certainly glad to hear them again. Anyway, on to my recommendation. Obviously, if you're a Mega Man fan, you probably have already picked this game up. But if you're interested in trying to get into this retro classic series, I 100% think this is a good pick. Like I mentioned before in the review, rating collections like these is always hard, given that like I'm not so much rating the games themselves because they're already established games that people have played through ad nauseum, so they know how good they are. Um, they're more about have they done a good job porting this? Is this something you should pick up? Is it something you should pick up if you've already played the games? Um, I do think this is a good port. I think I'm gonna try out a new rating system for ports specifically. Um, ports of like really old established games. I think I'll give a 1 to 5 system. 3 is like a good port, like literally in terms of the old game or games is playable on the new system, and it emulates the old experience just fine. A 4 would be um, the games are fine to play and there's extra content as a kind of celebration of the game or extra game modes or whatever. A 5 is like they do everything possible to make it a definitive experience. A 2 would be the game does not perform well, and a 1 would be it's just pretty much unplayable. Um, so I would give Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 a 4 out of 5. Um, in my opinion, if you get a 3, you're fine. It'll bring the original experience back. But given that they've got the rewind, they've used the Switch's CPU to try to reduce slowdown, which was a big problem on the original hardware. They have been like they have the challenge mode, all that good stuff. I think it's a fine port. You know, if you want to try playing Mega Man, absolutely pick this game up to play it on the Switch. Yeah, other than that, if you have any opinions about the game itself, if you agree or disagree with anything I said, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But other than that, have a wonderful day, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye.